Hey people, how's it going? Welcome back to Albums Ranked, the monthly episode, we'll say, where we take a band's entire discography from start to finish and we just chuck them all in order. Today is going to be a fun one. Today's going to be a long one. We're going to tackle the awesomely progressive heavy metal kings, Dream Theater, all 15 studio albums. Now, so let's just make a clarification. We've got studio albums, so that means no lives, no EPs, no compilations. So Change of Seasons is not included in this, and neither are any of those long lost forgotten stuff, breaking the fourth wall, all that jazz. Nah, it's just straight studio albums. We're going to tackle every album from When Dream and Day Unite all the way right through up until A View from the Top of the World. I'm super excited about this. I've been listening to Dream Theater for like nearly it probably is 10 years now, so, and it felt like 10 years trying to get through their entire discography, considering how long some of them are, but that's okay. It was still fun. So, without further ado, let's tackle this monster progressive train and let's see what goes where. Awesome. So coming in at number 15, coming in straight at the bottom for me, is actually the album that kicked everything off, and that is the debut album, When Dream and Day Unite. Yeah, this album is definitely, in my opinion, their worst stuff. Purely because, well, for one, it's the debut, which means it's kind of rough. It's very it's not very simple, but it's very basic. You know, compared to what Dream Theater are, they're the overproduced kings of things sounding amazing and all sorts coming together, and this album is just there. Key thing that really puts me off is the fact that James isn't the singer. James LaBrie's not the singer for this album, which some people probably love because this man's got a real strong love-hate reputation about him, which is weird, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. This album, it's just, there's only like, I listen to it like twice at the most, if I think, and I'm pretty sure Yetzi Jam is like the only cool one, and that's because it's the instrumental. But yeah, there's not a lot to say about this album because it's just way down there, and for me, that's just where it goes. So yeah, number 15 is the debut, When Dream and Day Unite. Cool, now we move up. Number 14 for me is an album that came just, I think like slightly later, within the first decade of them being a band, and that is the album Falling Into Infinity. Now, I've thought this album was better, obviously, than When Dream and Day, but it's definitely not as good as other stuff. I remember this album being very sort of I remember they were trying to like please the label and the record company after the success of Images and Words. They were like, cool, let's, we can bump this out, let's just do that again and the band will be fine. But they were really struggling to kind of be like, but that's not what we want to do. And I think you could definitely tell with that on this album. There's 2 songs on this album that are over 10 minutes. The first song, New Millennium, is 8 minutes long. So they're not completely shying away from what it is they love, but you can just, there's just something different about this one. There's a couple of songs on here that are okay, like the opener, New Millennium, is cool, and I remember Hell's Kitchen being really, really awesome as well. Burning My Soul was real cool, and The Trial of Tears at the end is just a nice sort of closer. It has to be, because it's 30 minutes long and it's just telling a cool story, and it's just a nice way to end it. I'll give them that. But yeah, it's still nothing compared to what came later, much later. But let's see what comes later, shall we? Let's just get through the ranking. Don't know why I'm so jittery, but yeah, moving up the list, we've got number 13, and this one is a much later album in the career, and this album came out when I started to listen to them. When I first found out who they were, there was the hype of the new album coming out, and it was really, really cool to sort of like kind of get a feel for what they were doing these days. And then the album came out, and it was a bit of a disappointment despite 1 or 2 songs, and that is the self-titled Dream Theater from 2013. Yeah, this album had a lot of hype. I remember watching the little making of clips that they were releasing like once a month or so and getting hyped up because they were all super excited. It's the first time we'd done this as a band or whatever, and you think, okay, cool, but then it came out and it was just such a bit of a flop. I think it's the only way to talk about it, purely because I don't know why. It feels is it boring? Is that the word for it? Is boring the word? Like, there's a couple of songs on here that are okay. The Enemy Inside got released, and that was a cool song. I didn't mind that. And when that came on in this rerun of listening, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this song. I remember getting excited about it, and it was really, really cool. But then after that, it just sort of turned into it. A lot of it sounded like filler. I'm not too sure why. There's like Behind the Veil and The Bigger Picture. They're all cool. Like, they sound nice, but they're not memorable. You know, I'm honestly struggling to remember what the melodies were, and just, you know, little things like that just make you want to not go back to the album, because it just feels like there's nothing there. It's like it's hollow. It's empty. It's sort of like it's heavy though. It's heavy and punchy, but it's just sort of like that's all it's got going for it. Illumination Theory, the 20-minute song, we all got hyped for because it's a 20-minute song. And if you're like me and you get excited about song length, you're like, cool, that's going to be amazing. And like, again, sort of a flop. It's okay, but it's nothing compared to like, the other epics that they've done in the past. And it's just, okay, all good. So, like I say, it's an okay album, but it's still very sort of, yeah, it just sits there, and you just constantly find yourself going back to other albums rather than ones like this, because there's just a lot better from these guys. And as we get further through the list, you'll see why. Cool, slowly moving up. So now number 12 is an album that again came later, and it came out real recently actually. And no, it's not A View from the Top of the World. It's actually the one that came before it. It's A Distance Over Time. And yeah, this album is weirdly interesting. I literally listened to this album today to figure out, like, to purely be sure if I wanted to chuck it that low, and I can't help but think, yes, I'm 100% confident that it belongs in this second bottom half of the list, only because it's sort of like it's not Dream Theater-y enough, if you know what I mean. Like, the longest song on here is 8 minutes at the end, and that's no, it's not, sorry. At Wit's End is 9 minutes 20, and that song has a cool intro, and it's some sort of legato-y tap thing, but like, Untethered Angel is a really great song and a really, really cool opener as well. When that song came out, again, I got hyped, just like The Enemy Inside. I was like, yes, this is cool, this is heavy, James sounds great, the solos are cool, and it's real progressive, and this is what Dream Theater is about. Fantastic. And then I heard Paralyzed, the other single, and I was like, I really like this song, this is cool, keep it coming, boys. And then as the album went through track by track, it kind of became a bit, what? Like, Fall Into the Light was a simple sort of single. It's another long for this album. It's 7 minutes. But like, things like Barstool Warrior, which is a weird name in itself, is odd. And then Room 137, I literally, when I heard the end of that today, I was like, that's boring. Someone is trying, someone is dying. So, it just feels like stale and just, S2N is weird. Like I say, At Wit's End was okay. It's got some cool passages in it. Out of Reach was kind of nice, I won't lie. Out of Reach was a kind of cool little ballady, like, love song sort of thing. Probably the wrong word, but Pale Blue Dot was like the Dance of Eternity Part 2, except it had words in it, and it didn't feel as chaotic. But it's still cool, and if you're like me and you listen to the deluxe, then you heard Viper King as well, and I was like, what the heck is this? This is like... It's a weird album, and it's just not my favorite. So other people really like it, but it doesn't do nothing for me, to be honest. So yeah, that's why we've chucked this album all the way down here as well. Right, number 11 is Images and Words. Now, this one might come as a shock to you, because I've chucked number 11. I've placed an album that a lot of people love, and it is good. We're starting to get into the good chunk, the good albums now. But this one, someone has to go this low, and unfortunately, this slot goes to Images and Words. Yeah. Now, this album is cool, and it definitely, if you compare it from Dream and Day and then come on to Images and Words, it's like that. It's such a huge difference, but then compared to Images and Words, whatever, later, it has to go down here. Now, Pull Me Under is a fantastic song, and we all know it, and we all love it. It's very heavy, it's very simple, it's very nice. It's a beautiful song. and it's extremely radio friendly, but at the same time it's heavy and chunky, and that's cool. So once you get past that song, you get Another Day, which is kind of nice as well. But then you have this really, really cool song called Take the Time, which is another single. It's got a video. It's quite long for a single. It's like 8 minutes. But that song is really, really nice. It's a cool melody. The way it flows is awesome. But then my favorite song on this album is probably the song that comes next, and that is Surrounded. And I don't know. It's nice to sing. It's like another ballady type song, and of course to me that just sounds nice. And of course afterwards you've got Metropolis Part 1. You got some really what's the word, like real dominating riffs in there, and you can like really establish that that's the Dream Theater sound, almost like Pull Me Under, but this is like, you know, the long version, you could say. And yeah, there's just some really, really awesome stuff on it. And then you got Learning to Live, which is like the last song, and it's like nearly 12 minutes, but that's really cool as well. But yeah, these albums are getting better, and yeah, unfortunately I think this one being so old, it's still not as progressive as Dream Theater came to be later, and that's probably why it's here at what number are we on? Number 12? Number 11? Number 11. So yeah, Images and Words for me is number 11. Sweet As Team, we're slowly getting through it. Number 10 for me, we'll just get straight into it. Number 10 is Systematic Chaos. This album is cool. This album is heavy, and I have sort of not like a personal connection with this song, but like this album I heard ages ago, not when it came out, but like, you know, it was, I think, what was the song? I think the song was The Dark Eternal Night that put me onto like Dream Theater in the current era, you know, that middle 2010 era. And it's just like, okay, cool, this is what they are, this is who they are. All that progressive, all that heavy, all that chug. It's really, really awesome. In the Presence of Enemies, if you put the two songs together, part 1 and part 2, the start of the end, it's like 25 minutes long. So massive song. Forsaken's fun. Constant Motion is this album is fun. I guess I could say that about every song, apart from Repentance. Yeah, no, that song's not my favorite, and it's just a bit, yeah. I find that one a bit too slow. And Prophets of War is really, really cool. How it's got like chants of, you know, fans, and just lots and lots of voices going on. But yeah, this album is really, really cool, and I really wanted to own it at one point, but now that I don't own it, it's just a bit, yeah. I watched the massive, you know, 90-minute doco for this album. That's probably why this album was like, oh, okay, cool, because that's how they made this song, and that's how they did this, and where they came from, and how the ideas all flowed for this album. And it's just, this album is cool. It's much better than what we talked about already, but unfortunately this is probably like the bottom of the heavy, and with that, I think is enough to talk about it. So let's get into number 9. Now, number 9 is actually, I've just remembered, is actually the album with the first song of Dream Theater I think that I did properly hear, and that's because it came on Headbangers Ball on TV, and I was like, cool, that was fun, let's see who these guys are. And that was On the Backs of Angels. And if you're a fan and you know, that's right, number 9 is a dramatic turn of events. Goodbye, drummer Mike Portnoy. Hello, Mike Mangini. Better arguments there, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We'll talk about albums. So yeah, number 9 is a dramatic turn of events, because I think it's a bit like, it's still in the same vein as the self-titled, I think, in terms of like singles are good, but the rest is a bit unmemorable. On the Backs of Angels, it was a great song. Build Me Up, Break Me Down is kind of cool, though. I remember the chorus being cool. This Is the Life is a really, really good song. That is definitely my favorite song. I've loved that song since I heard it back in the day. And then Bridges in the Sky, which starts with this weird sound at the start. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but yeah. The chorus of Bridges in the Sky is really, really cool, and that's an 11-minute song, a progressive dream, and it's just, you know, really, really awesome. But yeah, unfortunately there's like an Outcry as well. Outcry's got a few cool, typical Dream Theater moments in it, but yeah, Dramatic Turn of Events is a good album, and it's pretty heavy. They're all pretty heavy at the moment, but yeah. So that's why Turn of Events goes in at number 9 for me. Awesome. Quickly getting through it, about, you know, roughly halfway or so. This next album, number 8, is my first one that I physically own, so that's exciting. and that is the 1994 album. You see that? I got Awake. Yeah, I've chucked Awake in at number 8. I had this quite high up on my list before I gave this all a re-listen, and I was like, "Is that real? Is that right?" So, and then I listened to it again, and I chucked it at 8. So obviously, maybe I didn't pay enough attention to it the first time. But anyway, Awake is cool. It's much better than When Dreaming Day, and it's a lot better than Images and Words, and it's a lot better than what came afterwards, Falling into Infinity. But I remember listening to this and thinking, yeah, this is cool, and that's obviously why I've got it. 6 a.m. I think is a really fun sort of opener. 6 o'clock on a Christmas morning, that's always fun. That reminds me of that Manson song. What's it called? What's the first song on Eat Me, Drink Me? If I Was Your Vampire. That's a cool song. Caught in a Web is fun. It's a great little sing-along song. The Silent Man, The Mirror, Lifting Shadows of a Dream. They're all, these songs are so much better, it's not funny. And yeah, the production of this one is, they're all real heavy. They're all produced really, really well, minus the first album. But yeah, I'm quite stoked to own that. It's a shame it's only on a CD, but still, yeah. Awake is going in at number 8, and yeah, I like it. It's fun. We're getting into the really, really fun albums now. So yeah, let's get this hurrying along. Number 7 for me is Black Clouds and Silver Linings. Some would argue that, this is like almost an EP because of, only going off how many songs there are, you could say it's an EP. But if you look at the length of it, then no, it's not an EP at all. A bit like A View from the Top of the World, there's 6 songs on this album, clocking in at 75 minutes long. So we got 16 minutes, 13 minutes, 13 minutes, and 19 minutes. So this is like a progressive metal fan's dream, this album. And I was quite unfamiliar with this album prior to these re-listens. Like I knew The Shattered Fortress, and I knew The Count of Tuscany, which is a funny song. But yeah, so it was kind of cool to sit down and listen to this one in its entirety of all 6 songs. But like I say, it felt like it took 3 weeks to get through just because all the songs are so long. However, A Nightmare to Remember, that's a really, really cool one. I honestly really like that. And I really, really did enjoy A Rite of Passage as well. Whether, yeah, it's the ballad, it's slow, and it's just really cool. That's actually a really good song, but I really, 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 really love The Shattered Fortress. I first heard The Shattered Fortress when I made a Spotify playlist of Mike Portnoy's 12-step suite of his alcoholism, and you just listen to like all the songs that contain all the 12 steps in it, and that's how I heard that song. So that's actually a really cool thing to do. Highly recommend you do that, because you hear all the reoccurring themes and like the music and the stuff, how they all kind of flow together. It's really, really awesome. I love it when they do that. It's so cool. The Best of Times is a 13-minute ballad-ish, heavy ballad kind of thing, powerful ballad. But then The Count of Tuscany, the 20-minute song, just tells an epic story of fearing for your life in front, like, you're being kidnapped, being taken away. And it's just a really cool example of storytelling, progressive metal storytelling. And it's really, really cool. I actually have this shirt, but I couldn't find it, so that's why I'm wearing this instead. But yeah, Black Clouds for me is number 7. Okay, this is gonna kill you probably if you the viewer are like 90% of the Dream Theater fan club. You'll exit this video when I tell you that I've put The Astonishing at number 6. I freaking love The Astonishing. Hear me out. Just let me explain why. And if you don't like it, if you can't agree, then by all means go somewhere else. The Astonishing is an amazing story, amazing artwork of progressive metal thrown in again with that excellent art of storytelling and just pure proper Dream Theater style. Yes, okay, there's no epic 24-minute song. There's no proper instrumentals versus the weird little what are they called? Nomac noises that you hear, which are only like 90 seconds long. But anyway, I could do I did actually. I did a review on this album years and years ago. I don't know if it's still up, but if it is, go hunt for it. But anyway, this album is just wow. The entire first act, or the first disc, is so much better than the second one. The second one is a lot darker, it's a lot lower, it's not so melodic, and there's no real themes established. But in the first half, obviously, like a film really, you get to meet the characters, which in this case means you get to learn their voicings and you hear all their themes and how they all reoccur, and the story is really, it's told in such a beautiful way. It's sang by, James has got a great thing, the way he sings and changes his voice slightly to channel different characters. When he sings about faith, he's got a calm, soft voice, but when he's Lord Nefarious, he sings with harsh, and he's rough about it. It's just honestly awesome. The songs on here are just wow. On the first disc anyway, there's a lot of songs on here that aren't really songs. They're more like they're just setting moods, I guess you could say. Like, there's songs on here like A Better Life, which is only like a minute long, but then you've got like real awesome established songs like A Savior in the Square, when your time has come, and then the theme that literally goes through the entire story, both disc 1 and disc 2, is Brother Can You Hear Me. Really, really beautiful melodies in that, and that just gets thrown in through the whole album, like every now and then as they talk to, literally, it's such an in-depth story. It's virtually the exact same as Rush's 2112, but much more in depth, and there's so much more going on. And like I say, I could talk a lot about why I love The Astonishing so much, but going off the passion that I'm portraying right now, honestly, this album is just so good, and it's very, very long. Like I say, this took ages. This is a 2-hour album, which normally is a monster, but the first disc of this stuff is just too easy to get through. It's so good. All the melodies are just so nice, and they all just flow beautifully. And then like Act 2, like I say, there's some funny bits in Act 2 because it opens with Moment of Betrayal, which is like one of the singles, but then the rest of it is sort of like, you really have to listen because like all the melodies are sort of taken away, and it's just more focusing on storytelling. But the last song, one of the last songs, Our New World, which was a single, I believe, and it's just got this, it's the end of the story, so it's got this awesome, upbeat, kind of high energy riff, which is a throwback to Savior in the Square. And When Your Time Has Come, they intertwine with like the riff at the start was played on the piano, and then by the time you've gotten to A New World, it's played on a distorted guitar. It's just so nice. It's so cool. Go listen to them, and you'll see what I mean. But yeah, anyway, enough of that. The Astonishing, number 6. It's not bad. Okay, go listen to it. Whew. I apologize. That was passionate. Number 5. We're moving on now. Number 5 is actually quite a surprising one because, like we say, we haven't talked about the recent release yet, but that's just about to be broken. Number 5 is the release, A View from the Top of the World. Complete opposite to what The Astonishing is in terms of, song length and album length. That one takes, how long is this album? This is like 70 or 80 odd minutes too, but that album doesn't feel like it. We have A View from the Top of the World at number 5. This album is actually really, really, really good compared to Distance Over Time, and if some of you would say compared to that one. This album was needed so much. You've got The Alien, which was the opener and also the first single. Probably the weakest song on this album, I think. I did a review of this album too, if you want to quickly go look at that and hear me go more in depth about the album. But yeah, Answering the Call's cool. Invisible Monster and Sleeping Giant. Sleeping Giant's probably my favorite song on this whole album. That's a really, really cool one. Just the melodies in that are just really, really nice, and it's just really cool to it's really cool to hear the typical Dream Theater-ness, like, back, sort of like, we haven't had this since, like, Distance Over Time, no. The Astonishing, nah, that's a world of its own. What came before that? What came before that? The debut, I think. So, and that debut sucked. So, this album was a breath of fresh air, and it was just really, really awesome to hear. So, yeah, the 20-minute epic on this, the title track, View from the Top of the World. Again, it's much better than what's it called? Illumination Theory. It's up there in terms of like their decent epics, but it's not the most epicest epic they've ever done, as I said in the review. But still, this album is great, and I'm really stoked to own it like this as well. But yeah, number 5, A View from the Top of the World. Number 4 is probably Dream Theater's heaviest album, in my opinion, and that is Train of Thought, coming out in 2003. Yeah, I quite like this album. Again, it's not a long album. It's got the same amount of songs as Top of the World does. There's only 7 songs on here, but again, it clocks in at 70 minutes. So it's, again, this is the peak era like of the Dream Theater-ness, you know, this early 2000s era. So cool. As I Am is an insanely heavy song. It's up there with like, it's so heavy you can't pick it up. This Dying Soul is part of the 12 Suite movement thing, and that's really, really heavy as well. But then and the middle chunk of the album is just, you know, it's sort of like, yeah, okay, Honor Thy Father and Vacant, they're just sort of there to me, and all they're doing is getting you ready for the epic song that comes at the end, which is literally my top 3 Dream Theater songs, In the Name of God. Holy damn. That song is 15 minutes of pure, heavy, shred, progressive nonsense. The solo in that song, or the solos in that song, it's just mad. I don't know how John and Jordan can do that without getting it wrong. It's just mental. But yeah, awesome album, really, really heavy, really, really cool, and because of it being so high up, it's probably to do with the fact that I love In the Name of God so much. I tried to learn that on the guitar, and I had to put it down because I'm just not there. But it's just such a heavy album, and it's just honestly so cool. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Train of Thought, number 4. Awesome, getting excited now. Number 3 comes as an album that I was very, very unfamiliar with, but then the more I listened to it, the more I was like, I actually really love it. And that is Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory. This is Dream Theater not caring about record companies, not caring about radio restrictions, anything like that. It's just them being like, okay, we did all that, and now we're just going to play what we want to play because that's who we are. This album is insane. It's that whole concept album of storytelling. It's very, you know, Queensryche stuff, like Queensryche inspired, I should say, rather, you know, with the concept album. It's just, oh my god. Where's the track listing? Give me the track listing. The fact that it starts with this hypnosis feel is, I love it. I think it's amazing. You put the album on and you hear, and you think, all right, here we go. This is, you know, it feels like you yourself is about to be entranced because of the album that's about to take place, you know. And you read the words of these songs, and you read the titles, and you just feel all the music, and it's just like, okay, cool. The overture, 1928 overture song, which is just the opening credits, you could say, is just really, really nice. I love how all the melodies are stuck in there, and they all work together. It just sounds so cool. Fatal Tragedy is one of my favorites, and Beyond This Life as well, I realized that I really, really like. But then we all love The Dance of Eternity as well, if you can handle it. You know, it's all a bit what's going on, but, you know, it's really, really nice. One Last Time, The Spirit Carries On, and Finally Free. It's just the way the album flows, and it tells this awesome story with so many, like, not hidden meanings, but, you know, just so many intertwinings, if that's a word. It's just, honestly, it's so cool. It's honestly just yeah. If you know someone who says, I want to listen to Dream Theater but I don't know where to start, I'd highly give them one of this album. This album is just too cool, and the epitome of concept album right here. It's just honestly great. Yeah, Metropolis Part 2, number 3. Now these next 2, I honestly hummed and hawed so much which one was better than the other, but after much consideration and a lot of thinking, lying in bed at night, thinking about it, I had to agree that yes, number 2 is 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence from 2003. This is the first album that I fell in love with. This is the first album that made me sort of realize what this band is actually capable of, you could say. We've got 6 songs. Is it 6? 5. We've got 5 songs on disc 1. One being The Glass Prison, which is an insane song by itself, which is also the first step of Mike's 12 Suite. Honestly, go listen to the 12 Suite. Do it. The Glass Prison is this insanely heavy Dream Theater opus song. Really, really cool. It just really hypes you up for what's about to happen. You got Blind Faith, which is, yeah, it's okay. It's another 10-minute song, but a bit of skip over. Misunderstood's a slower one. The Great Debate I weirdly love because, I don't know, I listened to this album all the time at work when I could, and it was just, I just loved everything about that song. Was just really, really cool. The build up that it has, the people talking in it, the robotic auto-tuned effect on the voice, it was just so cool. But then it goes into this beautiful, beautiful song called Disappear, which is honestly so depressing, but sounds really, really nice. And it's just a really nice song if you've lost someone and someone's like, whether they've died or they've just broken up with you, whatever. It's a nice song to listen to if you've lost someone. Check it out. But then once you get through that, you then get onto disc 2, which is one whole song called 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, broken up into 8 parts, going across 42 minutes. When I realized that that's what I was listening to, a 42-minute epic piece broken up about mental disorders, I was just like, wow, okay. Overture, the beginning of it, is amazing. The About to Crash sections, the first song, was it the second section and the 7th section, are honestly incredible. More Inside My Head, Test It Stuff Normal. It's just such a cool song. Like, in total, it doesn't even feel like 40 minutes long, in my opinion, because, I don't know. But you honestly, it gives off that feeling when you get to the grand finale, Losing Time, when you get to like when you get to the ending, it's just such a dramatic build up. And when he finally sings the last word and the last symbol is hit and it goes away, you feel like you've just watched Return of the King. Like, you feel like a sense of triumph, like, yes, we did it, we got to the end, and now we can do something else. And honestly, this was sort of like, and then I started to find out like that this band is much more than just a simple write a song, practice it, put it on an album. That, like, you know, that thing they did with Scenes from a Memory, and they did it all the way up to Octavarium, where the last note on the album is the first note of the next album that comes afterwards. Once I realized that, I nearly fainted. I was like, oh my god, that's like the most intelligent, fun thing I've ever heard. My little 17-year-old brain couldn't handle it. I was just like, that is pure genius. And so, yeah, with that, and with things all coming together, and with things that flow into one another, it comes as no surprise to you as to what my number 1 is. And yes, you're exactly right. You predicted it from ages ago. You knew that number 1, because you yourself know it as well, that the best Dream Theater album is indeed none other than Octavarium. Oh, the amount of love and respect that I have for this album is beyond anything. It's June 5, I think. June 5, 2005, is that when it came out? Forgive me, June 7, 2005 was a great day in heavy metal history. There is so much going on that album. It is ridiculous. There are 8 songs, and we'll just talk about them real quick. We got The Root of All Evil, which is, again, in the 12 Suite. Go listen to it. And the theme of The Root of Evil is all over that 12 Suite anyway. The Answer Lies Within is a really, really nice song too. These Walls, brilliant song. I Walk Beside You is fun. Panic Attack with that awesome funky bass intro. God knows what's going on there. All good. Never Enough, fine. Sacrifice Sons, beautiful 9/11 song. And then of course, the reason this album is number one is the song itself, Octavarium. Holy damn. Have you ever, if you've listened to this song, have you ever researched this song and got on to look at like what this song is actually talking about, kind of thing? The whole Octavarium, there's so much involved, it's ridiculous. I feel like doing a video separately claiming why this album is the best, and you know what, I think I will, so I won't talk about why that is. But yes, the song itself, Octavarium, goes for 24 minutes long, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Probably one of the most beautifulest pieces of progressive metal even, I've ever heard. It's a beautiful, beautiful album, and it needs to be played again, like straight away, straight after this video. Number one for me, the greatest Dream Theater album is indeed Octavarium, and if you agree, thumbs up. If you don't agree, let me know why. I would love to know why Dream and Day Unite isn't actually that bad. But yeah, thank you so much, team. I'm actually going to stop it there. That is my second half passionate Dream Theater ranking. I hope you had fun hanging out with me while I discussed this, and I hope I wasn't too overexcited talking about some of those albums, but that's why we do this. It's just so much fun. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and until next time, stay inside, wash your hands, all that fun stuff, go listen to metal, and I will see you all again with another ranking very, very soon, no doubt. See you later.